and welcome to episode 147 of Big Red Barrel Geek Speak, a place for all your nerdy needs on BigRedBarel.com. My name is Jo, and I'm the host for this episode. We're sadly down an Alex this week, but joining me as ever is the dangerously darling Diarmuid.
Hello there.
And also, very, very special guest this week, we have the dashingly debonair Davo.
Hello.
How is everybody today?
Good. It's not that I want us to rush through this episode so that I can get back to Spider-Man, but, you know, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I feel you, yeah. I didn't get up early enough today to play it, and I'm like, come on, I need to play. Give me some more of that Spider-Man. So yes, so let's crack
Fingers
straight
twitching.
on then.
I was going to say you guys feeling the urge to whip.
Yeah, totally. Very much so. All
Yarp.
across New York. All
Oh
across
my
that
goodness.
place.
I want to spew my web all over that game.
Yeah. All
And then
Right.
take a selfie.
delicious.
And there we are. That's the episode for today. Goodbye, folks.
Bye! Okay, right, let's crack straight on then with, as ever, our time waster of the week, and I'm guessing this one's come from Diarmuid today.
Well, yeah, so basically, because we've been away for so long due to real life stuff and all that kind of crap, loads of stuff has been happening in the world of news, so we're going to be covering that later on. But one of the things that dropped as part of, or in the last few weeks, that we usually kind of cover when these come out, was the latest Blizzard Overwatch short. Most recent one covered D.Va, so this was released by Blizzard a few weeks back.
Was it really that long? Was it that long ago?
Yeah, it's
God.
what, a week and a half, 2 weeks at least.
Blimey, time flies.
This one covers D.Va, a character who hasn't been featured in a short yet. And I just wanted to quickly cover it purely because I believe, personally, it's probably one of their best, if not the best, that they've done so far.
I agree.
That's good.
I think
Has everything that Blizzard introduced with their shorts. It gives you a far better idea of the character. I mean, I think most people going into this would have just, if they just barely glimpsed D.Va, they would have expected a very kind of typical gamery, overconfident sort of, you know what I mean? That kind of trope. And the fact that they've given her, like, in the space of 6-7 minutes, I think it is. I don't know how long it's incredibly short because it's a short, shockingly. But in that space, they managed to tell you almost everything you need to know about that character. Like, they're able to articulate it in a way and not just tell you, they show you, just like any good visual storytelling. And they tell you everything you want to know about D.Va. They tease, I think, brilliantly, potential future heroes with the Mecha Squad. And they also just, not only like do they have the character and the kind of the emotion that you would usually get with a Blizzard short, they also have the action. That was like that fight scene with the mech.
Oh, with the tentacle mech. Bloody hell. Yeah, it was so good.
Outstanding. And yeah, I'm going to shut up now and you guys can give your opinions because I think I'm going to just gush everywhere.
No, I'm with you. I think it's my favourite of them all. I love the whole setting. I love the character of D.Va. I love how even in such a small film it had room to add so much character and fun and also drama. And yeah, it was just, the animation was just superb. And yeah, fighting against those tentacled mech aliens, brilliant. No, I loved it. And also, as part of this, we got introduced to a new map, which looks great. I'm very excited to play on Busan. So yeah, Davo, what did you think?
This is the thing I like about Blizzard, is they make you care about a character you didn't know you cared about with these shorts.
Yeah.
And a good example of this is the Bastion short. Your previous thought, it's Bastion, point and click adventure time. But then I watched the short and I was like, oh my god, I've got feelings for the robot. and little birdie Ganymede. So yeah, the D.Va one was absolutely amazing. Just from her being like, I've got to do it, going from like, I can do this all solo-y to then being like, I kind of need a bit of help. And it kind of instills that kind of Overwatch feel of, you can do things on your own, sure, but really, working as a team is better.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, agreed. And I think probably one of the things that comes up every single time we cover one of these shorts, Blizzard, please make a movie, an animated series.
I would so
do
watch that.
Something with these characters. You need to. My goodness, I would pay so much money for a movie.
I would 100% be in for something like that. But also, just one small thing. Where's my Mercy short, Blizzard?
Yeah.
Where's my Mercy short? She's the MVP of that game. Give me a Mercy short, please. I need it.
See, if they did a Mercy show, I'd want it to be a joint one between Mercy and Moira.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be good. Like two sides of the same coin kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
It'd probably involve a lot of bunnies.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah. So, hopefully they'll be working on that. That would be good. That'd be good, Blizzard, if you're listening. Give my girl some love.
A nice Netflix series would work.
Oh my god, can you imagine? Oh, you know what? I would love an Overwatch anime. I would watch the hell out of that.
You
That would be
remember the
super good.
Doomfist anime short that they had with
It made me
Tracer
not
and
hate
Genji?
Doomfist for a second.
And it made me not hate Genji. Like the way they were able to do the sword play during that. Oh my goodness. Lovely.
Disgraceful.
Lovely.
Absolutely disgraceful. So, that's our time waster for this week. If you've not watched it, please do. It's a real cracker. So we're going to jump straight into our news now. And we're starting off with, honestly, I could care less about this. I literally don't give a stuff. But Death Note 2 is coming to Netflix.
Yeah.
Hooray.
Yeah. I love Death Note, the series, the original.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the Netflix series that they're talking about is the live-action adaptation.
Yeah, it's the movie, right?
And it's the sequel to that. And my goodness, did they absolutely ruin every single aspect of that. Not only did they ruin the mood, the characters of Light and L, they just didn't seem to understand what people liked about the original series anyway. And it just seemed like the only good thing was Ryuk.
Yes.
The way they kind of realised him, and obviously, what's his name's voice?
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe's voice.
Yeah.
That was perfect, but they're going to have to change a lot for me to even give this a chance. Never mind whether it's going to be good. It's just, I don't know what they're going to be able to do to bring me around. Unless they kind of just say the first film never happened and here's the actual...
yeah.
This is what we meant
we're
to put out.
retconning this entirely, kind of thing.
Exactly.
No, I mean, I've never watched Death Note before that at all. And I watched the movie and just thought it just made me so irritated. Just the character of Light was just one of the worst people I've ever seen in anything. Awful edgelord, emo knob. So yeah, I was just, it just left me completely cold. So yeah, I really don't care. Davo, have you ever watched the Death Note anime?
I've watched the anime, and I quite like the anime. I only got about halfway through it before I stopped watching it, but I did enjoy it.
I'll be honest, even I've watched the anime, but I also stopped towards the end because, no spoilers, something happens. Once that happens, I kind of lost interest. But even that first bit I loved and I was hooked. And they didn't even come close to replicating that in the movie, which is why I don't care about the second one. Now, again, we kind of always say this. It could be good. They could really learn their lessons from the first one. They could retcon it, or they could do something to make it better. We'll see. I'm not exactly
optimistic.
hopeful. Yeah. Exactly.
Do we know if it's the same people involved in the creation of it as the first one?
I think so.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's different, I think Greg Russo is writing the script. I don't think he was involved in the first one.
Okay.
Right.
At least based on my brief reading of the article about this. I don't think he was involved in it, which might be good. But whether it's the same directors and stars and all that kind of stuff, yeah, I'm not sure.
I can imagine it will be. I can imagine it will be the same actors.
Potentially.
We shall see. We shall wait for that one and see what happens.
Then ignore it when it comes up.
And ignore,
unless it gets absolutely stellar reviews, just ignore it, yeah.
That's the thing, it seems that obviously it did well enough for them to want to make a sequel, but it was probably people watching it out of curiosity alone, and because it did so badly critically, I can't imagine that they're going to get the same number of viewers for this next one.
Yeah, you talk about poor reaction critically, and obviously we don't know what the viewing numbers are, but even fans of the original show would have watched it. So it's like this thing where people complain about sequels not doing as well because they're not as good films. Mostly people go into those films based on the previous film, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So similar to this, most people coming out of Death Note, obviously the critics, but I haven't heard anyone that we know audience-wise for this kind of show who liked it. At least I'm not aware. Obviously I haven't been asking everyone, so what did you think of it? It's just one of those cases where I don't think anybody really got what they wanted out of that show. So I think it's a pure numbers thing. They probably just thought, I'm sure if we can get even close to the same again, but I highly doubt they're going to. Not unless, as I said, it's stellar. But
Yeah, complete retcon.
Exactly.
So, there's that. And then we're a little bit more information as to why Danny Boyle is now no longer directing Bond 25. And apparently it's something to do with the villain casting. Di, do you know about this?
Very little. I basically just know what was recorded in this article, and it's all rumour. Like, we don't really know. So the basic story is, obviously, Danny Boyle was originally hired over Bond 25. No idea what the actual name of that one is yet, but he recently left, due to the usual reason, creative differences. But the rumor is regarding the casting of the villain. Now, I don't know whether this is due to the fact that he didn't like the villain character, or maybe he did and they didn't. We don't really know. All we know is, or all we believe we know, this is all really weird, all we believe we know is that the villain was going to be a Russian oligarch or someone pretty high up, and it was going to be played by Thomas Kott. He's been involved in a few decent series. Yeah,
he's very critically sort of well received. Yeah, he's like an actor's actor kind
exactly. Of thing. He would be the kind of the equivalent of Mads Mikkelsen. He's a really good actor's actor. We don't know who was on either side of this casting decision or not, but basically it sounds like that was the reason why Boyle left. Which is disappointing, obviously. But at the same time, it seems that this casting and the going with a kind of a Russian villain all seems to be kind of steering this back. So it's what's been happening with the more recent Bond films. They're trying to kind of steer it back to the original sort of Cold War era theme or mood with those films. And whether that works for them or not, I don't know. But potentially that, whereas Boyle may have wanted to do a more contemporary villain. I don't know. We're just kind of basing this on rumours. But obviously, once the film comes out, we might learn a little bit more. But it's just, to be honest with you, I know you're a bigger fan of the Bond films than I am.
I do like them, yeah.
But for me, what gets me interested in a Bond film is the director. So when Sam Mendes was involved, I was like, that's interesting.
Yes.
There's kind of these, there are names that pop up, and when you get them involved, you're kind of like, I wonder what they can do with this. And when Danny Boyle was announced, I was like, excellent, let's see what he can do, because I'm a fan of his work. Now, if they do the usual thing, which is bring in a kind of a workman director and just get them to get it over the line, I'll be very, very disappointed.
Especially as it looks like it's possibly going to be Daniel Craig's last Bond. They need to kind of go out with a bang, really. And so, yeah, I was super excited that Danny Boyle was involved. I'm a huge fan of Boyle. His entire career, I've loved everything he's made. Even The Beach, I've got a bit of a soft spot for that, even though it kind of sucks. But, I do like it. And, yeah, it is massively disappointing. But, what you're going to do? I mean, it's better that he's left before the project has begun rather than end up halfway through a shooting schedule and him being like, yeah, this isn't working, I'm off, kind of thing. So
true,
we'll see. And in similar news of the film development world, it looks like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is on hold for now, which is unsurprising. Shocked. Yeah,
we're not shocked.
It's not, but still a bit disappointing because I need to see more Guardians.
I think I would have liked it too, but I think since the obviously James Gunn drama and all that kind of stuff, my interest has certainly dipped quite a lot. I mean, there was the recent interview that Dave Bautista did on the Jonathan Ross show, where he basically said that he doesn't know if he's going to be involved anymore. There was a very recent article that I read, I think yesterday or the day before, where Glenn Close came out saying that she doesn't see... Well, obviously, Boilers for Infinity War, she's probably dead now. But the character in the MCU. But we don't know what's going to happen with the fourth film. Maybe everybody comes back. Maybe nobody comes back.
Who knows? I hope.
But yes. Glenn Close just mentioned that Guardians without James Gunn is just it's difficult to see what that is. And I kind of agree, because it's... I don't know if... have you guys... do you guys follow Movies with Mikey on YouTube?
A little bit, not hugely, just a tiny bit.
So he did a recent video regarding Thanos and his issues with Thanos in Infinity War. It's an excellent video. I'd suggest everyone give it a watch. But one of the things he touched on was the James Gunn and Guardians situation. And the reason he touched that was covered in that video, so I again advise you to watch it. But one of the things he mentioned was the character of Star-Lord and the journey that he goes through over those films, where he basically becomes an adult and learns that in order to be a part of the team, in order to be successful, in order to be good, he needs to grow up. He can't just be a child. He can't be a man-child. He needs to mature. He needs to look after his friends, and he needs to leave behind the life that he had. And he made the point that that's pretty emblematic of what happened with James Gunn. James Gunn was a very immature person.
Yeah, to say the least.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Over the course of these films, and not over even before the films, I should say, he kind of realized that, and he tried to change his ways, and he's been involved in like charity work. He's been trying to, he's been a good person, and he's written that into his characters. And it seems like going forward with Guardians without him is just, I don't know how. I honestly do not know how they're going to do it.
Yeah, I don't either. And to be honest, I feel at the moment like I really don't need another Guardians film. I mean, I like the Guardians, but they're not my favourite in the Marvel universe by a long shot. And I kind of, with Infinity War Part 2 coming up and other things going on like Captain Marvel and that, I think it's okay for them to take a little bit of a break and kind of reassess it and stuff until everyone's happy, because the last thing you'd want is for them to plough ahead trying to make Part 3 when nobody wants to be doing it.
I'd agree with that. I could see what happening in the future similar to what they've done with the Hulk. So they've tried a few times to make a Hulk standalone film, and it just never seems to work in terms of box office, at least. So what they've done is they've kind of made him a pretty repeatable and integral part of the Avengers movies and the Captain America and Thor, obviously. What they could do something similar with the Guardians. They could have the Guardians as sort of not secondary characters, but sort of people that come in to Captain Marvel they won't be able to do it with this more recent one, but the future Captain Marvel films. If they do a Nova Corps film, they could do it there. They could introduce the Guardians as kind of characters, as well as, not the main characters of a film, but the sort of side ones that they bring in, where the focus will be less than on the whole drama that happened recently. Maybe that could work.
Well, we shall again wait and see how this develops. But before then, we've got Captain Marvel to look forward to, which looks, I'm excited.
Exactly.
I'm excited for Captain Marvel. And then, Infinity Part 2. So plenty of Marvel goodness to come.
Sorry, Davo, you were going to say?
I was just going to say that Marvel have actually been pretty on the ball with their whole MCU movies. If they were to do a third one, which for me, I do hope they do, because I'd like to see more Groot as he grows up. I think whatever they do with it, even if it's like half of it or a specific bunch of people, I'd like some kind of almost like closure on that group.
Yeah, especially after the turmoil that they've gone through with Infinity War and whatever ends up being next summer. Like, we don't know how that's going to shake out at the end.
Yeah,
it is one of those situations where usually a good 3-film series is enough to kind of get all the characters to a point where it feels like all of them have completed a kind of a journey. And you get, certainly in the second Guardians of the Galaxy film, you get a sense that Rocket, for instance, is definitely on a path to getting to the end of a character. Like, he's in the second Guardians film, he's definitely in the middle of a character arc. And I'd love to see how that shakes out. Similarly, Nebula, there's a sort of a sense that she's sort of halfway through, or at least towards the end of a character arc. I'd love to see how that ends and how that resolves itself.
She's my secret favourite character, Nebula. I mean, I love Karen Gillan to begin with. I think she's awesome. She was always my favourite companion in Doctor Who. Yeah, I love Nebula. I think she's cracking, and I love the dynamic between her and Gamora. So yeah, I mean, to be honest as well, the thing with the Guardians movies is they were when they first began, they were like a nice breath of fresh air in the Marvel universe, because some of the other movies can be very serious. Like Cap America and Iron Man. We're getting a bit serious, and so Guardians is like a nice wacky mental breath of fresh air. So Yeah, again, I do hope they make a third one, but I hope they give it enough time to do it properly.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to news that...
Wow.
In a sort of tenuous link to superheroes, Superman, Henry Cavill, is apparently going to be Geralt in the new Witcher show for Netflix.
And you
That
can
is
just
correct.
feel the
You can
disappointment
feel
emanating
how
from
happy
Joe.
I am about that. Look, I'm not a huge fan of Cavill, alright? Like, Man of Steel is fine, but I just think he's just...
What about in the latest Mission Impossible?
Yeah, but that film was awesome almost in spite of him.
He reloaded his arms, damn it.
That's true.
I don't think Cavill is that bad. I honestly don't. I think he can be.
I think it's Justice League's fault. I think that's what it is. Because I hated him so much in that film. I think it has coloured me, like, against everything else that he'll ever do because I detested Justice League so much.
That's the thing, though. Like, even Justice League, which I agree is an awful film, I thought he actually did justice to the Superman
He was so
character.
miserable all the time.
No, not in Justice League.
He was pretty grumpy.
He wasn't. He was.
Seemed like he was grimacing a lot.
He was more super. The only time he grimaced was at the start of that show, it's actually the middle of the thing when he actually comes back.
Yeah.
But in Justice League, he is actually more Superman than he has ever been, really. If anything, he was grimacing more in Man of Steel than in Justice League. The end of it is where he truly seems to become the Superman that Christopher Reeves was, in terms of personality, at least.
Now, see, there's
basically
Superman.
one of my criticisms of Justice League. Now that we're going into it, one of my criticisms of Justice League is the film ended where it should have started. It ended where they were actually a team, and it ended where Superman was back, and he was... Spoilers! Superman is back, and he is who we expect him to be. He's the Boy Scout. He's the kind of the... He doesn't seem to have that mood and that chip on the shoulder that he's been carrying for the last two films. He's finally back, and he wants to help people. Similarly, Wonder Woman is in the correct place. She's She hasn't abandoned humanity. She's actually back. She's a hero again. Like, the characters are where they should have been when the movie started, and they weren't.
It makes me so angry what they did to Wonder Woman in that film. It makes me so angry. You know what? And I really can't go down this road, because I'll just be ranting for a really long time about how much I hate Justice League and I wish it didn't exist.
All right, let's move on to The Witcher,
anyway,
which is what we're talking about.
he's going to be Geralt. So I guess you guys should probably talk about this, because I'll just get angry again. Why isn't it Mads Mikkelsen? Why?
I would agree that would be better casting. However, I also think that if they do plan on doing a kind of a longer series, as in if this is just the first season and they see this potentially becoming a multi-season show, then I do agree that they need to get someone slightly younger. Well, it depends on how long they want it to run and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that doesn't matter. The Henry Cavill thing for me, I think he's decent. I think he is actually a good actor when he's given material to work with, because I do think he can be quite charming when he is, again, given the material. I thought he was excellent in The Tudors, and I thought he was very, very good in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I'd agree, Superman isn't exactly the best role that he's had, but again, they didn't really give Superman anything to do for the longest time. But I'm more hopeful than obviously you are. But Davo, what do you think? Are you...
So, I quite like Henry Cavill. I actually have the Justice League Superman Nendroid of him on my desk right now. Yeah, that's right.
Does Jo give it the Paddington hard stare every time she comes into the room? Yeah,
pretty much.
She does, but only because Justice League Wonder Woman is next to him.
Ah, okay.
And she's like, I want it. And it's like, no, it's mine. I actually think Henry Cavill's got some kind of legs for this. And there's 3 reasons why. One, Doug Cockle, who's the voice actor for Geralt in the games, actually thinks he's got a good shot and was very supportive of him. And I really like Doug. And we saw him last year at EGX,
didn't we? Yeah. Nice guy. They got him to order a pizza in Geralt's voice. It was good.
Pizza in Geralt's voice. It was very interesting. And the second point, or third one, I guess, is that he's played the games and he really likes them. And I'm a big Witcher fan myself, but he's probably more of a Witcher fan because he's actually read the books. And I've not read the books. So I think he's going to bring a lot of that
yes,
kind of passion
I guess
as a fan
I am
to
being
it.
quite uncharitable, really. It's just because I'm angry at Justice League, and I shouldn't tar him with that. Like that is, if I'm absolutely honest with myself, that's what it is. It's just because I'm furious with Justice League still, and it just sort of radiates towards him, which is probably very unfair. So I should probably look at that.
Plus, we haven't seen any of the other cast, any of the settings, or anything. I'd actually wait until I see a trailer, but I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
Because I'm hoping Netflix will just throw all the money at it. And just
I'll try
like...
to be. Try to be hopeful.
And the third point, Davo?
Oh, sorry. No, the 2 points where Doug Cockle said...
two, sorry.
And then he plays the games as a fan, and he read the books.
Okay, so that is 3. Then.
Yeah,
that kind of works. I was going to say the writer, apparently one of the first meetings she ever had was with Cavill in terms of...
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a casting meeting or whatever, but they kind of discussed their love of the series. So when it came around to casting, he was like the first choice and he accepted. So it's encouraging to see that. Now, again, the series could be crap. I'm going to be hopeful. I'm going to hope that it does very well. But, we'll see. Okay, very quickly before we move on, though. Ideal Yennefer casting. Jo.
Oh, don't do this to me. God.
I know. Do you want to think about it and I'll say?
No, you know what? The first name that pops ahead, even though she's probably too old, is Monica Bellucci.
She could work. She might be a bit old, but
she probably definitely is. She'd work with a Mads Mikkelsen Witcher.
Yes.
So, yes. But Davo, what are you thinking?
Eva Green.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Eva Green.
Yes, she is perfect for that role.
She's hot as well. Good lord.
Yes.
Eva Green, I mean, she...
Calm down, Joe.
Look, I appreciate beauty in all its forms. I mean, did you guys watch Penny Dreadful?
Yes.
That show, I love that show so much. And even when she's in full-on possessed, disgusting mode, I'm just like, she's still hot. She's still hot. I still totally would.
Oh, Joe.
No, she's great. Yeah, you know what? If it is her in the show, my optimism for the show would skyrocket. If she was Yennefer, I would be like, yeah, okay, I'm in. So,
what about you,
yes.
No, I was about to say Eva Green as well. For me, the one that kind of proves it to me is, and it has been like ever since Casino Royale, I've basically been in love with her.
She's amazing in that film.
The way she's incredibly strong in that film, but at the same time not she doesn't seem to fall into any kind of, I don't know how to describe, tropes, any sort of... Yeah,
she's not a typical Bond girl.
No,
she's brilliant. She has her own agency. She can take care of herself.
Which is exactly what you want from Yennefer. That's what I want. That's what I kind of... You want her and Geralt to kind of be partners, but you never want him to be saving her, which never, it doesn't happen.
Absolutely.
But like, that's what you want. You want her to be her own sort of... You want to understand why Geralt likes her so much. And I think Eva Green has that in spades.
Yeah, and she has that little edge as well. Like Yennefer, like you look at her and she's obviously this stunning woman, but she's got that little edge in her eyes to kind of say that she would wreck you if she,
She's a super powerful mage. So
exactly, and that's why Eva Green would work. Yes, I'm on board with this. That would be good. So if anyone's listening out there that's in any way involved, make it happen. Make it happen.
I wonder if they're going to do it from Witcher 3 or they're going to go all the way back to the first one.
I don't know. It'd be quite interesting. To see. I mean, I could imagine they're going to want to have some form of story that will be able to allow for branching storylines so it can continue,
Yeah.
But The Witcher has, no story.
Oh my god. You know what I mean? Like side quests. It will need side quests to keep it like a, continuing show.
I don't think The Witcher's ever touched side quests before.
What? Yeah, what?
I'm shocked. Shocked.
On that note, I read a thing very briefly this week that said that someone asked the CD Projekt about the quests in Cyberpunk and how many there would be. And they kind of said, yeah, The Witcher 3? Kind of think like that. And they're like, whoa, this game's going to take over my life.
For me, what would be funny for the trailer is if it starts out with him just playing Gwent.
Oh, I love Gwent. Yeah. Yeah, that would be good. So, anyway, that's enough blathering about, about The Witcher.
I like that we've kind of switched your mind a little bit. That's
yeah,
good.
Honestly, it's purely because I detest Justice League, and I need to be fairer to him than that. It's not really fair to blame him entirely for Justice League. So, anyway, moving on. So we're going to get, for Overwatch League Season 2, 8 new teams. This is exciting.
This is cool. I like this kind of tells me that the first season, at least in the eyes of the people with all the money behind it, was successful. Hugely successful for them. Now, maybe the viewing numbers went up and down throughout the season. That's fine. The fact is, at the end of it, this is a huge expansion. So there's 8 new teams joining, moving. They've almost
doubled. That's
it's up to 20 teams now.
2/3. Yeah.
So this is huge, and the teams that need to buy in. So in the first kind of season, in order to buy in a team, you needed to basically pay in $20 million for these 8 new teams. Because of the popularity of the league, they've had to pay anywhere between $30 to $60 million. To get in. That's just to get in the door, just to get onto the team. It could be a Shanghai situation where they all bloody lose. You don't know. But it's one of those situations where just to get in the door, they needed to pay that much. So you can tell just how much the league has done well, which is incredible news. In terms of the teams themselves, Vancouver, Toronto, Paris, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, and then, Chinese
Hangzhou,
cities.
Chengdu, and Guangzhou.
Okay, there you go.
Thanks, Joe.
I've been to China once. What I like about this is that even though Shanghai Dragons got absolutely destroyed last season, like, it was the worst performance of a team in a league, I think, ever, of anything. China are just like, yeah, but we'll do better this time, but they're just chucking 3 new cities in. Love it. Love it. So there's 4 now. So we're going to have 4 Chinese teams.
And more recently, the amount of people, like players that have been joining and let go of teams, like, I'm looking forward to seeing how it all shakes out before the start of the season. We still don't actually know when it's coming back, but like what the new teams are going to look like is going to be incredible.
I mean, I think all 3 of us pretty much love the league. Like we watched it quite a lot. I especially watched it a lot. So I'm excited for this because, like you say, it means that it was successful enough to continue. And second season is probably going to be bigger and longer now with 20 teams in it. I'm really fully on board. I can't wait because it's super exciting and really cool. So, yes.
I think the only feedback I want to give to whoever's running the league, because I'm sure they listen to this show.
Of course.
The only feedback is I want them to do the All-Star Weekend stuff more regularly.
Yeah.
Like maybe a mid-season break of 2 weeks, and in the middle of it, they do an All-Star Weekend. Seeing those players over the course of a year with 12 teams in the league, seeing those players basically get stressed out, a number of them have to step away because their mental health just couldn't bloody take the pressure. All that kind of stuff was really disappointing to see. Then you saw them on the All-Star Weekend where the pressure was off and they just had fun. And I was smiling the entire time watching some of those games. Seeing that, if that happens more regularly, not only would it be good for the players, but for the audience as well. You get to see them just having a bit of fun. And it was just like, I loved watching Sebilby. Like, I still remember that clip of him playing attacking in, where was he? King's Row. And then he rolls off the edge as McCree. And you just see him kind of turn around and, give the peace sign to the camera and laugh. And it was just, that's the kind of stuff I want to see more of.
Yeah.
Obviously.
That was, we were big Spitfire fans, obviously, all 3 of us. We you know what I mean. I'm wearing my Spitfire shirt right now. I'm wearing my Spitfire shirt right now. One of my 2 Spitfire shirts. And one of the big reasons I love them the most, even though obviously them being London, even though they're Korean, is part of it, it's because they always look like they're having fun. And they always just look like 6 friends playing Overwatch together. And I love that. And that was what the All-Star Weekend was like. It was people having having fun. It was really friendly, and that's super cool. So yeah, I agree with you. A mid-season break with some more All-Star stuff, that would be really cool.
We shall see.
We shall see. Right, finally, final news before, because Spider-Man is waiting. He's waiting for me.
Yeah.
He's been so patient.
I know. It's like, I'm so sorry, Peter. I'm coming.
Is he just hanging around waiting?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he's just like, come on. This is slightly sad news. WildStar developer Carbine Studios is shutting down. So I must admit, I've never heard of this game at all. So
this is probably a reason why they're shutting down then.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
I did play WildStar when it first came out. It was a good game.
It's an MMO, yes?
Yeah, it's an MMORPG. So it appeared like during the heyday of when everything was kind of kicking off. It's a very sci-fi kind of silly kind of thing. I played what was called a chewer, which essentially is a space hamster.
You were the original Hammond. My goodness.
Well, interesting enough, the space hamsters are on the evil side. Yeah.
Sounds about right. Because
they were like crazy inventors. But it was a lot of fun, but it had a lot of flaws as well. There was a lot of empty quests. And what I mean by empty quests, it was like, go kill 20 of that, go kill 30 of that. And there was a lot of that kind of padded out throughout the game, but the actual story and universe it was set in was super interesting. And it was kind of let down again by the end content. So a lot of people dropped off, and then after a year, I think it's about a year, they went from a subscription base to like a free-to-play thing, and then ever since they just struggled immensely. But they had a lot of really cool things, and like you get your own little house, which it could be like a rocket ship and stuff, and you could decorate it, and it's a shame, but it's unfortunately the way most MMORPGs go these days.
Yeah, so apparently a lot of that studio was like former World of Warcraft people, so them not being able to succeed creating their own MMO is worrying, but like that's not exactly news either. Like the amount of MMORPGs that have failed and have not been able to, even the Lord of the Rings one, which I was expecting to be absolutely huge. Yeah. Didn't that go free to play recently as well or something?
That is still running.
No. It's still running.
So many years later, that's still going. I had no idea. I thought that had ended a long time ago.
Yeah.
I remember playing that. I was a hobbit.
Ah,
nice.
Hobbits are the best. Hobbits are the best, just saying.
The Hobbit starting area was the best, because it wasn't all dark and bleak.
Yeah.
It was like, go get some pies.
Yeah. Why haven't I played this game? I like pie.
But yeah, it's one of those situations where, it's disappointing, obviously, with the studio having to close down, and hopefully everyone who's, lost their jobs gets picked up quite quickly. But it's one of those situations where, it's not an entirely a shock to see a studio that was basically heavily involved in an MMO get kind of shut down, because the kind of criteria for success for an online MMO that's ongoing is shockingly high.
Yeah, and there's so many of them.
Exactly.
So many of them. It's so complex, yeah.
Getting your foot in the door and getting a kind of an audience that's loyal and stays with you is incredibly difficult to do, because as both Jo and I had barely heard of, WildStar. So it's just one of those situations where this is disappointing, but not entirely surprising either.
You're right. It's not surprising. And as you said, it's happened to a lot of MMOs. You see them all the time, or at least I have done over the years, just pop up, a lot of buzz, a lot of rah, rah, rah. It's going to be the new WoW or the new Guild Wars, and then it just falls down. It's like the Dungeons and Dragons online. I can't remember the exact name
Neverwinter.
of it. Yeah.
Neverwinter, yeah. I played a bit of that on PlayStation. It's okay.
That has an absolutely amazing quest designer. Like, you can make your own quests for people to, like, run on through and play.
Oh, that's cool.
And a lot of people use space chickens because, space chickens. But
why not?
It's one of the exactly. It was one of the coolest features I've ever seen, and some of the best things were just absolutely silly. But the rest of the game was a bit like, it's an MMO. Other than this one thing, it's not that different. But then they did a lot more over the years, I guess, and they're still going, which is good.
Yeah, I think Neverwinter, I think they might have just had an expansion for it, actually. I think it's still kind of doing okay. But I played it a bit, and to be honest, I just don't have enough time to get fully involved with an MMO. Even if it is, a D&D one, I just don't have enough time for it.
I completely agree. Except when World of Warcraft Classic comes out. And then I'll go...
I'm never going to see you, am I? You're going to be like...
I'm going to be gone. That's it. That's my biggest fear.
Excellent.
I'll see you in Azeroth. Bye.
For the Alliance.
Right. Well, that's our news for today. A bit of an epic news. Spider-Man is still waiting, and we've not even done our topics yet.
Well, that's some news right there, right? Spider-Man was released.
We better crack on with our topics, and we're going to start with Diarmuid, who's talking about Final Space.
Yes, this is something that Elle mentioned on the last show as well, and I kind of said, I had planned on covering this, but we had too many bloody topics last time. Anyway, this is, if you're not aware, it's an animated space opera comedy / drama. So if you're thinking Futurama, you're actually pretty close.
Oh.
It would be, I would say, if I was to be as reductive as possible, it's Futurama crossed with Rick and Morty, except not quite as gross and with a lot more emotion in it, and surprisingly emotional in terms of the story. It's a 10-episode series on Netflix. It's only in its first season, and it kind of revolves around the story of Gary Goodspeed. He's a pretty inept astronaut who finds a creature he's in the middle of a kind of a prison sentence on board an automated ship. So he's the only kind of biological creature on this ship. So the only people he gets to talk to is Kevin, who is an annoying robot that's there to keep his morale up, but does a really poor job of it. And Hugh, who is the kind of the controller of the Galaxy 1 ship, who is kind of his prison warden, I suppose, until he gets to the end of his sentence, which is like a 5-year sentence, and he's close to the end already. But when the season starts, that's where he is. He meets an alien. If you Google image search Final Space, you'll see Mooncake. He's basically this green floating blob.
I've seen that, yeah. I know what it is now.
He makes really cute noises like cookie and stuff like that. And he is an incredibly powerful creature who can destroy planets.
Yep.
But when he's not destroying planets, he's this really cute kind of huggable blob that floats around with Gary, and Gary really likes him and wants to protect him, naturally. The show has multiple characters. There's Quinn, who's a woman that Gary met once but is in love with. It's really weird. There is Avocado, who's a cat creature person. There's
Excellent.
his son called Little Cato. There's the evil Lord Commander, is a small creature but has massive telekinetic powers. I don't know how to describe this except to say that over the course of 10 episodes, I somehow started to care more about Gary and his stupidity and all that kind of stuff and the characters. And by the last episode, I was close to tears with some of the stuff that was happening.
Aww.
It is...
No spoilers, I'm only 7 episodes in.
No
I haven't
spoilers.
even watched any of them.
It is well worth watching.
It is.
Oh, I will watch it.
You
sold me with Avocado, to be honest.
Some of the stuff that happens in the show it shocked me in a good way. Stuff happens and it's an emotional thing that happens, and you didn't realize how kind of hooked you were to some of the characters when some stuff happens, and then it happens and you're just like, no.
There are times where the show makes me really want a cookie.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. It is, and
I always want cookies. This is going to be a problem.
So the creator of the show, his name is Olin Rogers. He also does the voices of numerous characters, including Gary and Mooncake. He's the guy who created it from the start. He's gotten some pretty big names involved. So David Tennant is the Lord Commander.
What?
Yep.
Yeah.
Why haven't I been watching this?
I don't know. Ron Perlman is his father in the show. Gina Torres is in it. Keith David. Conan O'Brien is on the producers list. How he got involved, I don't know.
Crazy.
Conan O'Brien, and he's on the producers list, and he also actually voices some smaller characters as well. It's just so it's incredibly well made. It's incredibly funny. There are moments where you'll want to tear out your tear ducts so you don't cry.
Why? I cry at everything.
It is incredibly good, and I think they've already announced a season 2. I cannot wait for it. I think they have. I need to double check.
Is this on Netflix? Did you say
Yes,
Netflix?
This is on Netflix. It's only 10 episodes, and each episode is like 20 minutes.
Oh.
Watch it, enjoy it.
Oh.
It is very, very, very good.
I agree. I fully support that endorsement.
Excellent. Right, well, moving on to something that you'll undoubtedly also endorse, Davo, you're going to talk to us about My Hero Academia.
Oh yeah, that's right. So it's an anime. I should get that out there first so people don't go, oh, what is this? It is an anime. Basically, imagine a world, so it's modern day, and everyone's got what's called a quirk, or at least nearly everyone does. And quirks are basically like superpowers.
Nice.
So you might have someone who's like a frog, or can control the ground, and control wind, or can just randomly sprout a million appendages or whatever.
Oh.
So yeah,
I can see that being useful. Go on.
So that's the world. Like everyone has pretty much got a quirk. And it focuses on this one guy, this one kind of kid, who doesn't. He's basically the freak. So rather than it being
he's
superhero,
a muggle.
Yeah, basically he's a muggle. And he's got this obsession with this like kind of beacon of peace and the Superman of the world called All Might. And he's got like all the posters, the dolls and everything, and he wants to be him. And he gets tested for his quirk and he finds out he doesn't have one and he's a muggle. And he gets super sad. But he meets All Might and something happens, and I won't give any spoilers away. And eventually he has a quirk and he can't control it and he doesn't really know what to do because he's getting to live his dream of being as amazing as All Might. And he kind of goes off to this Hero Academy. You see the connection?
Yeah, got it.
He's with all these other people aspiring to be heroes and to kind of fight against, villains, as they call them. And it's a really interesting world because, as I say, everyone's got a quirk. People can be heroes, but it's got to the point, because everyone's got a quirk, it's kind of monitored and controlled who can actually be a hero. And all the heroes get like brand deals and stuff like that. So the idea is that if you become big enough, you get like endorsements and people love you and you can make money off like syndications and stuff like that. And it's really interesting watching this kid who, for like the majority of his life, was like, I want to be a hero. Gets told he can't because he doesn't have a quirk. To then having a quirk and being like, oh my god, I can be a hero. Only I have no idea how to control it and I keep hurting myself.
So they're all influencers, basically.
Influencers with superpowers.
Yeah.
And he's got like this cool rival that he grew up with, who does have a quirk. And they just have a really funny, cool rivalry. It's really good. It's on like its third season now or something.
What's it on?
It's on Crunchyroll, right? Yeah.
Crunchyroll.
Okay. Might have to give this a watch, because I've been looking for an anime to get into.
I can recommend something to you right now that Davo will argue against strongly.
No, you talk about that later.
No.
Oh no, you took it off the list.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about it this episode because we've got too much to talk about. But basically, watch Yuri on Ice. It's wonderful.
No, just watch My Hero Academia. It's got so much soul. And your already, teardrops will jerk.
You've already watched Food Wars, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So... Yeah.
No, that's completely different.
Yuri on Ice. Watch it.
It's completely different. If you like ice skating and anime, then sure, Yuri on Ice to you.
Yeah. Ice skating, romance, like homoerotica, and anime. Yeah, it's good.
A good mix.
But I'll talk about that properly in a episode to come, probably next week.
Yeah, once you're done hijacking my topic.
I'm sorry.
Just so mean.
I'm sorry.
You're not sorry. You're not, and I know you're not.
But yeah, so that's My Hero Academia, and you fully recommend that people watch it, yes?
Yeah, it's got a lot of story behind it, a lot of feels, and a lot of kind of character development. Not just from the main guy, but from all the people he's in kind of this school with as well. And just kind of understanding how the world works. It's really, really good.
I've got too much to watch, I tell you, because I got this, Attack on Titan, now Final Space. God!
Yup.
I need more time.
Yep.
It's alright.
I need more time.
I'm going to be quiet now for like the next 20 minutes because...
Yeah. See, here comes the reason why I'm not going to have any time for about the next month. And that's a Spider-Man PS4, which myself and Diarmuid have been playing. And I'm going to let you start with this, Di. Tell us what you think. Yeah, go for it.
Are you positive?
Yeah, go for it. Here it comes. Here it comes.
No, I'm really not going to talk too much about this because I think most people who want to get this game have already gotten it.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think anyone is going to be shocked to learn that this is an open world action game from Insomniac Games, who basically are the exact developers you want to make a Spider-Man video game.
Yep, 100%.
They basically had their first run when they did Sunset Overdrive. It just didn't have Spider-Man in the name. It was it's such a good game. The very first thing that happens when you start off the game is
no spoilers, but yeah,
no spoilers. But the very first thing that happens is Peter gets a call. He has to go somewhere, and he jumps out his apartment window, and then you're swinging.
You're swinging.
And from that moment, as soon as you start swinging, I was in love.
Yeah, me too. I got all the feels. I was like, oh, this is what I wanted.
The most important thing of any Spider-Man game, is the swinging. The ability to go through the city. They have nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely nailed it. It is so good. All of the... The swinging is real in that when you press R2 and he fires out a web and it attaches to a real building. So if there are no buildings around and you press R2 and there's nothing to attach to, it won't do anything. You need to know when to play. So there is actual skill involved. Mm-hmm. When you start to swing, you swing in a kind of a pendulum, and it'll depend on the angle what way you swing. At the end of your swing, you then can press X to kind of leap out of the swing so that you can go a bit further, and you can press R2 again to kind of swing again. And that allows you to progress through the various skyscrapers in New York. New York is freaking huge. It's
and beautiful.
Massive and lovely, really well done, brought to life. And it, like, when you look down at the streets, it's not just a few specks. Like, the streets are full of cars, they're full of people. It feels incredible looking down and seeing all of that happening. Progressing around the world, as I'm trying to explain poorly, is so much fun. You never feel like you want to touch the ground. You just want to keep going.
And when you accidentally land on the ground, you're like, oh man, no! And you have to sort of get back up into the buildings.
But I'll put it this way. I've played the game now. I played it, so on Thursday night, Friday morning, I turned it on and I said, I just want to give a quick feel. That was a mistake, as I've tweeted out. I was so wrecked the next morning that anyway, played it for about an hour or two that night. Then came home yesterday, played it again pretty much from as soon as I came home all the way until 1 o'clock last night. I think I've done maybe 3 story missions.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I started, all I wanted to do was swing around, and what I used as the excuse was similar to most other open world games. You don't unlock the map necessarily. What you do is you fix these radio towers that are dotted around New York, and there aren't that many of them. I think there's about 12 or 15.
Yeah, we're not talking
like
an Ubisoft situation here.
And when you unlock a tower in an area, you get to see a number of things appear in the map. And I used that as my excuse to just start swinging around. That's all I wanted to do. Honestly, they could have absolutely nothing on the map and just have a free mode where you just swing around, and I'd be happy. I would just be happy just swinging and traversing. And every so often you'll see a crime get reported and it pops up on Pete's phone and he gets a notification saying, hey, there's a crime down there. And you can choose to go down there, or you can choose to continue doing what you're doing. And there's no penalty. You don't get kind of docked down for it. But what the game manages to do is live up to exactly what Peter and Spider-Man's mantra is. Great power, great responsibility. You have the ability to stop it. You feel almost obligated to go and stop it.
Yeah, definitely.
And it doesn't punish you. It doesn't kind of say, it doesn't dock you points if you don't, but you still feel obligated to do it. And that's exactly what, they have distilled Spider-Man into a video game, and it's perfect. As I said, I'm only 3 story missions in. It could all go pear-shaped towards the end, but right now it is absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, I fully agree. I also haven't delved too far into the story. I think I've probably done a teeny bit more than you of the story. But yeah, it's like you say, there's just the feeling. They've nailed how it feels to be Spider-Man, but also how it feels to be Peter Parker. And you play as Peter as well sometimes. Like, it's not all just Spider-Man. Yeah. And you also get to play as Mary Jane. And that's really cool. Like, it's the whole world and everyone that kind of comes together with Spider-Man. And it's just so cool, and it's beautiful to look at. They've got the city of New York perfect, and I'm absolutely loving it. As I can imagine that pretty much if anyone bought this game and didn't like it, I'd question whether they were sort of a bit dead inside, because it just makes you feel like the first time you're swinging, just you get all those feels, and brilliant. Absolutely brilliant game.
One thing
Loving
I do
it.
want to mention, because I was kind of doing a lot of the side and collectible stuff, you might think, well, what the hell, that must be boring. No. So one of my favourite game this generation has been God of War. Came out this year.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I liked it is because even the side stuff has purpose. It has meaning. It ties into the story in some way. Even if it's just not giving you new story points, it's fleshing it out. So in God of War, you find murals that give you more of a backstory on this world that you're in. And there's multiple other collectibles that all kind of tie into that. One of the things I've been doing in Spider-Man recently has been collecting these backpacks that Pete...
Yeah.
So Peter in this game is 23. So he has been Spider-Man for about 8 years. He knows what he's doing. But in that history, he's already had a history as being Spider-Man. As in, he's already defeated a number of villains. He already has all of these stories. It's not an origin story, this game. This is kind of throws you in. But that doesn't mean you'd lose anything, because these backpacks that are dotted around the city that you detect when you fix those radio towers, when you find them, each of them gives you a sort of a memento of Pete's career. And he has a quick, maybe just a few sentences about this memento. So, for instance, again, this isn't a spoiler, I don't think. I'm trying to pick something that's incredibly minor.
Yeah.
So I've collected all of them already. Right? That's how.
Brilliant.
Again, as I said, I just want to swing around. I just want to explore. I just want to see everything. Anyway, I've collected all of them already.
It's not worthless collectibles either.
No.
You get tokens for them that you can use to add upgrades to your suits and stuff. So it is actually worth doing.
So
but it never feels like a chore.
Well, the reason it never feels like a chore is because of how much it tells you about Peter and how much it kind of fills in that story of the 8 years. So, for instance, one of the things you find is a backpack, and it has a part of a helmet worn by Mysterio.
Oh.
You don't know if he's... I don't know if he's in the game later, so apologies if he is, and that's a spoiler. I don't think he is, though. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So he's... Spider-Man in this world has clearly battled Mysterio before, and he's broken some of his helmet, and some of his helmet came off. And Pete tells you, when you find the thing, he goes... Oh yeah, I remember when this happened. I actually used some of the technology in the helmet to design new lenses for myself so that I could do other things with the lenses that are on my suit. And I was like, well, that's interesting. And then a few hours later, as I was playing, I found another backpack, and it was a cracked lens. And it was almost like a different... So it's from an earlier time, and he was fighting someone else. I can't remember who it was. And I think he said that the lens had cracked and he almost got blinded by it. And he said that he knew then that he needed to upgrade the material that he used for his lenses. And then I realized that kind of ties into the Mysterio thing. And the way, it never feels like you're wasting your time. It never feels like you're doing this as busy work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the fact that they've made the collectibles bit, which is, again, in almost every other game out there, the boring bit. The fact that they've made that relevant and actually something you want to do is just...
Yeah, I completely agree, absolutely. And I love that with the collectibles and other things as well, there's so many wicked little Marvel Easter eggs throughout the game. Mm-hmm. Loads of things that as a Marvel fan you're going to be like, I know who that is, that's really cool. Oh yeah, there's that person. And there's some lovely little cameos and things like that. It's just great.
Something happened, the last story mission I did last night, because I kind of ran out of stuff to do.
I think I may have had the same.
Yes.
I think I may have had the same last night. Yes.
Something happens during a cutscene, and when it happened,
yes,
I was actually laughed and clapped when it happened.
I just gasped. I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's nice."
Just not going to spoil it, but
no.
Oh my goodness! This game, if you have a PlayStation 4, you owe it to yourself to get it. If you're not a Spider-Man fan, don't worry about it. As I said, those collectibles kind of backfill all the story. The character, you don't it tells you everything you're going to need to know. I don't think we can really say any more right now.
Yeah,
anyway, except
we've
this is enough, a huge high recommend from both of us.
Yeah, definitely. Right, and finally, we're going to talk about another game that I'm sure is a massive recommend as well. This is 2 Point Hospital. Davo, tell us all about it.
So, 2 Point Hospital came out fairly recently, made by 2 Point Studios. And it's based at... Well, this is it. I think probably best to describe this would be as a spiritual successor to, like, Theme Hospital.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
some of the developers are ex-Bullfrog, aren't they?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
It is an economy kind of simulation that, you know, you build rooms so doctors and people come in, they get looked at. But it's... If you enjoyed... This way, just trying to describe it, is if you enjoyed Theme Hospital, you will absolutely love this. Because there's a lot of it that is very much on the same kind of similar line. Like, the toilets kind of look the same, the plants look the same. So it's like taking Theme Hospital, giving it a HD makeover, giving it an absolutely amazing UI that's super easy to use. And I'm not super far into it. I'm still, I think I'm on level 4, which is still in tutorial. And there's still stuff in the UI that can see that I've not used yet, so I know there's still some more tutorial levels to come. But it's so well done that each level slowly teaches you more and more things. So you can kind of almost instinctively learn, like, what is quite a complex game. Because generally when you hear Economy Simulator, you're like, oh god, I'm like going to be moving this graph here and changing this here and, you know, convert blah blah blah. This is a lot of fun. There's a lot of humor in it as well. Like, some of the diseases are just ridiculous. There's one called animal magnetism, and basically what's happened to them...
Please tell me animals actually stick to you.
They're covered in small animals, and the way they get cured is they stand in front of, like, this giant fan, and the fan just blows them off. And they just, like, fly off behind them down some dark hole.
What? It's just amazing.
There's another one, like, called Turtle Head Syndrome or something like that. And they've got, like, a little turtle head, and the way you cure them is that they pull their head back out.
Ow.
Because their head is turtled inside.
Is it kind of like Bloaty Head from Theme Hospital, where they literally just popped their head?
Your head, yeah. Or when someone had, like, a giant tongue, they sliced it off.
That was gross. Yeah, that one always bothered me when you'd be playing Theme Hospital and you'd get, like, emergency, 5 patients with the tongue sliced. And I'd be like, no, I don't want it. I don't want him. Because that was always, it made me cringe a bit, that one.
Yeah, there is a ton of humour kind of shoved into it as well. In, like, the doctors' names, the silly quirks they've got, the diseases they have, as I just said. It's all really, really well done, and it's just super cool. You've got like a DJ that occasionally says really kind of random existential things. And you're like, okay, buddy, calm down. Or like the tan oil sometimes go, I'm being paid to make this announcement. It's like, okay. It's just, yeah, it's super fun. I got lost into it quite easily. It
is that kind of game that does that. Like, I remember I played the original Theme Hospital a ton. Like, I put a ton of time into that. And it's just a time sink. You just get so into it and you're like, oh, I'll just do this bit. Oh, I'll just make this room. I'll just cure these guys. And yeah, it sort of goes on forever.
Yeah, one of the things you can do is you get this thing called Kudosh, which is obviously kudos, but they put it into a currency form. And you use this Kudosh to unlock items for rooms.
Right.
So you got like general items that can be used anywhere, like fire extinguisher or a bigger bin, but you can get different ones specific to the room. So, for example, there's a disease where people come in dressed that they think they're clowns.
Oh no!
The way that you kind of heal them is that you make this room, and it's got like a big circus tent. So it's got, you know, all like the nice stripes, yellow and yellow and oranges. And you can buy additional items. There are circus lights and like a little cannon. And the idea behind all these items is it increases the prestige of your room, which is pretty cool.
That's ace. That's ace. Yeah. I mean, yeah, when this game was announced, I remember being really, really excited for it. I'm sort of holding off because it's only on PC at the moment, right? And I'm sort of waiting to see if they do a PlayStation port, because I would obviously prefer to play it on PlayStation. But I'm not sure how much longer I can wait.
Well... So this is the thing, the actual controls, obviously I play with a mouse and keyboard, but my friend played it with an actual controller for a while, and he said it was actually really good. Like, the actual controls, they've taken time to think about it, and it's quite intuitive.
Yeah, see, at the moment, like, there's a bit of a spate of games, it's like Jurassic World Evolution, that felt to me like it was designed for a controller. And so that kind of gives me hope that maybe they might be thinking in advance for 2 Point Hospital, and hopefully we might get some word on a PS4 port at some point. That'd be good.
That's the thing. The engine the 2 Point Hospital runs on is Unity. So porting it to PlayStation, Xbox, even the Switch should be fairly...
Can you imagine it on Switch?
fairly trivial, actually.
Yeah.
But again, like, we're not... Well, I'm certainly not a developer. You guys work for a developer. No, but I'm not a developer, so I'm not going to be able to tell you, it's going to be easy. But, like, I definitely think it's possible, so I'm really hoping they
flip a switch,
soon.
Right?
You just flip a switch.
You know, console port, ding, done, easy.
You just like that. You know, turn on that box that says convert, and it converts it. Yeah.
Piece of cake.
2 Point Hospital is really good. I like that you can actually save and then leave the level and then come back to it later. Like, any point you can revisit your levels. And so, for example, if you unlock the dog picture, you could go back to the level and fill your hospital with dog pictures.
Brilliant.
Nice.
Who wouldn't want a hospital full of dog pictures? I mean, it just seems like people. A no-brainer.
Cat people.
Well, you can have both. Kittens and puppies. Kittens and puppies all over the walls.
There are no cat pictures.
This is like Highlander. There can be only one.
And
dogs. Excellent. I'm glad. I saw that it was reviewing very well, and I had high hopes, so I am glad it is that good. Yeah.
Interestingly, if you sign up for that newsletter, you can unlock the golden toilet.
The golden toilet.
Yeah, it's literally a golden toilet.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Love it.
Oh.
Good.
Right,
Very good.
That is all our topics. So before we end the show, we've got a few little shout-outs. Di, do you want to do the shout-outs today?
Yeah, thank you for listening to Freya Goddard, Will Driver, Gabriel, and Stealthy Joe.
Lovely. So yes, thank you very, very much for listening to episode number 147 of Geek Speak. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can do so on BigRedBarel.com. You can do so on Facebook, which is facebook.com/BigRedBarel. On Twitter, which is @BigRedBarel. And also, if you use the hashtag GeekSpeak, it really helps us find your tweets, and we love talking to you on Twitter, so please do that. You can also speak to us there directly. I'm @PixelRitual.
I'm @Diarmuid_S.
I'm vaguely sure I'm @Boomkin Dave.
You are @Boomkin Dave. I can attest. You are. And also, if you listen to us on iTunes, if you leave us an iTunes review, a nice 5-star review would be lovely, but whatever you think we deserve would be great. We'll love you forever. Also, Tuesday is a Tuesday, and on Tuesdays we have Tabletop Tuesday, which is the board game night in Loading Bar in Dalston, London town. And every week there's a new featured game, and if you play that game on the night, you have a chance to win a copy of the game. I've got no idea what the game is this week.
We usually rely on Alex to tell us, but she's not here, so we
But it'll undoubtedly be good.
Also,
Alex
the details are probably going to be up on the left-hand side of the site. So there's like a big image on the left that has Tabletop Tuesday stuff every week.
Excellent.
Go there and you'll see what the next one is.
But even so, it's still a cracking night full of lots of like-minded people having a great time with board games. So if you like board games, go along, meet some cool people, have some fun, and who knows, you could win a copy of a cool game. So there you go.
Nice.
And that is that. So with that, I've been Jo.
I've been Diarmuid.
Oh, yeah, I've been Davo. Do I have to say Davo?
You can say whatever you like.
Princess Davo.
Princess Davo. I like it. And with that, we bid you goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Butts. I did it for her this time.
Good job.
Gotta have the butts. Gotta have the butts.
Good job.
You and your ears are quite welcome
for the podcasting goodness that you just heard.
Why not roll on over
to BigRedBarel.com
for more podcasts,
news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarel.com.